history stories you've never heard before. In 1843, the Oregon government banned slavery. They felt doing so would eliminate political battles. Fearing the free blacks would compete for power with whites, they decided to ban black people from Oregon in 1844. With this new law in place, black men would have to leave town within 2 years, while black women had 3 years. Under Peter Burnett's lash law, anyone who broke the law could have been whipped up to 39 times. The law was rescinded a year later, and no one was ever punished. In 1849, a new black exclusion law was passed. No new black people were allowed to move to Oregon, but black people who already lived there could stay. The law was repealed in 1854.
So I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, there was a guy from Oregon, and we was having a conversation about racism, and he told and said that in Oregon, they have the least amount of racism as any other place in America. And when he told me that, I said, the only reason that you make that claim and say that is because you don't have black people in Oregon. You see, it's like that town or that place where people are saying, oh, we don't have racism because you don't have it there. So if you don't have the people, then you don't have the racism. And then I remember telling him about these laws that was enacted in the 1800s in Oregon. So if you think about it, in 1843 or 44, when they said no slavery in Oregon, okay, that sounds great. Sounds like they're ahead of the curve. Sounds awesome. But then when you enact a law to say that no black people can live in Oregon, and let me show you exactly how much land mass we're talking about. You see all that yellow up there? That's the Oregon Territory, which now today would incorporate parts of Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, and all of Washington State. So it's not like we're talking about a small piece of land or just the state of Oregon. We're talking about an incredibly large area in the Northwest. So when you say that no black people can live there, and you are telling them that they all have to move out of Oregon, then of course you cannot have slavery because there's no black people there to be slaves if you don't allow them to actually live in that Oregon territory. So of course, it makes no sense. It is basically saying that we want Oregon to be, or the Oregon Territory, to be all white. So yes, we can outlaw slavery. It's easy. But then even when black people fought against it, and they were able to stay, those who were already there was able to stay. Now we're going to minimize the number of black people that can ever come to Oregon. We're going to make sure that we allow white people to come to Oregon, because that way we will always maintain political control over the Oregon Territory. So although we are not enslaving you, we are going to seriously hamper your ability to have equality, your ability to own land, your ability to have political office, your ability to be able to live a life in pursuit of what you claim to be the American dream. And what's interesting is that some of these laws, although the last law was taken out, some of these other laws, pursuant to Section 35 of it, wasn't overturned until 1926. So when people say that, well, slavery ended, what they don't realize nor understand is that not just in the South, but all across America, there were still laws that hampered the ability of black people to be able to live the greatest possible life they possibly could, to be meaningful citizens in this country. And when you look at it, and I know many white people say, well, I didn't get this and I didn't get that, and I grew up dirt poor and so on and so forth. That's your parents' fault. And it's not a comparison of that. It is a comparison of, look at the head start. Just because your parents weren't in a position to take advantage of their whiteness during those time frames, because poor white people were treated like trash as well. Just because they weren't allowed to take advantage of that that whiteness, black people had no opportunities to take advantage of that other than within our own communities. And within our own communities, we were able to build. But unlike when a white community decides to build back in those days, they were allowed to build and they built. Black communities were burnt down. Black communities were flooded out. Black communities was uprooted by the highway system in the 1940s and 50s. So when you truly look at it, black people didn't really start getting a somewhat equal start in America until the 1970s and 80s, which means that you had 400 plus years to get started, 400 plus years to build your legacy, and you expect everything to just be equal and fair and nobody should have anything to say right now? There's still a lot of work to be done in this country. We still have redlining going on. We still have over-policing. We still have police brutality. And what's interesting to me the most is that poor white people should be more on the side of black people, because you are in relatively the same boat. You should recognize that instead of thinking that rich white people are going to be your saving grace, are going to make things better. You know, Lyndon B. Johnson said something that I will never forget. If you can convince the poorest white man that he's better than the richest black man, he'll always vote for you. And that is what we see in this country. We see the poorest white people voting for the richest white people instead of voting for or being political activists for equality in this country. Because whether you like it or not, it's still not equal. There's still food deserts. Schools are disproportionate in their teachings. And when the school is disproportionate in their teachings, then it's disproportionate in the colleges, it's disproportionate in the trade schools, it becomes disproportionate in the job market, it becomes disproportionate in the wage earnings, it becomes disproportionate in the land ownings, and it maintains itself as being disproportionate. But what I will say to black people is that our ancestors overcame many hurdles that we don't face today. And it is a disgrace to us, to them, when we don't strive out to do our best and take advantage of every opportunity that we do have. That when we are still renting when we should be buying, when we are not shopping in the businesses in our community and instead building up other communities, we have a part to play for our own reparations or salvation, instead of allowing for other people waiting for them to grant us permission when we can take control and take it ourselves. And it's not a thing of waiting for everyone to do it. It starts in your home. It starts with you. Don't wait for everybody. Do it your damn self. When you know that there's a product that you can buy that product from someone in your community. And for those who are running those businesses, go and learn about business. Stop trying to build a business. And I'm going to talk about this more in one of the next video. Stop trying to start a business and then you want to live high on the hog on that first business. So you overprice everything. Price things the way they should be priced and build. You have one store, build a second store, build a third store. And every time you build a store, you can up your living. You have one service, you have 5 employees, wait till you get 10 employees, then you can up your lifestyle. Stop pricing yourself out of people being able to come and service your business. Stop with the poor customer service so that you can maintain and retain customers. We have to learn how to do business the right way so that you can retain customers, so that you can have customer loyalty, and then hire the people in your community. Teach them, train them, so that they can then grow up and become better business people themselves. Even if they don't start a business, they can become better employees and have better confidence in their ability to become experts in whatever industry it is that they choose, and then help others to come up. That's how you build a society. That's how you build a community. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.